Our next guest is a fantastic comedian whose new book, You're Doing Great and Other Reasons to Stay Alive, is available now. He's also the host of the podcast Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. Please welcome to the show, Tom Papa.
Welcome to the show, Tom. And I do want to start by saying that your book is in the catbird seat here. I'm displaying it with my copy of The Thornbirds.
Oh, I can't tell you how honored I am, because I have when I was growing up, we had The Thornbirds. I think it was also with Lonesome Dove.
Oh, that's a good one. Lonesome Dove's a good one.
It's a good one. And to see my book on that pile, I can't lie. I've been waiting for this moment.
We're happy to have it here, and I want to talk about the book. But we saw each other last year. You were an incredibly accomplished, talented comedian, but I saw you give an absolutely pitch perfect performance as a pastor. You married Colin Quinn and Jen Sachko, who's a producer on our show, and you have actually married some other comedians. Is this correct?
Yeah, Colin was actually my fifth one that I've done. I did Rachel Feinstein's and Noam Dorman, who owns the Comedy Cellar, and Lenny Marcus. I became like the go-to guy for weddings.
I tracked you down that night to compliment the job you did, because, you know, I think doing comedy in front of comedians is hard enough as it is, but to do it on a night that everyone is going to remember. Do you, versus regular joke writing, do you feel that pressure when you're writing like that?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote that thing for 6 months straight. I just kept writing and writing and writing. And especially knowing that it's Colin Quinn, who is one of the most prolific, funniest, and judgmental comedians we have, standing this far from my face. I was, the pressure, every word, every line. And you were really funny at the end of it, because you pointed out the worst part of the whole thing is, even if it goes well, which it did, thank God, that's the only time you get to do it. You had said you've given some commencement speeches and things like that, and you work so hard, and then poof, it's just gone.
Yep. You wrote this book, and obviously you put a lot of work into this, and then it's called You're Doing Great and Other Reasons to Stay Alive. But obviously this was written before a pandemic hit, and basically came out as this was happening. Were you, because this is a book that is optimistic, were you worried that optimistic message right now was not what people would want? And what have you found the outcome to be?
Yeah, the line and other reasons to stay alive, I thought I was just being funny. I didn't know it was going to be that relevant. But when the first 2 weeks of the shutdown, the shelter at home, I had to go do the audiobook. So I drove in LA, only car on the road, very secretive, went to like an undisclosed location, one guy with a mask. And I was conscious of that. I was like, when I read this, is it going to be trite or shallow? Because it is optimistic, and it's about being hopeful despite having hard times. And it actually really held up. It actually made me wake up to the idea that hope is something I really cherish and always want, and work hard on keeping. And it's easy when things are going pretty good. It's always easy to be like, yeah, I'm pretty hopeful, things are going to work out. But when things are heavy, to be hopeful, that's the real challenge of being hopeful. And that's where the book kind of really just took on a little bit more resonance.
You recognized coughing as a problem before we were in the middle of this. You believe this nation has an epidemic of coughing.
Yeah, in the book, I do call out a couple of moments that are like, I was flying a lot, as a touring comedian, and I say in the book, I'm like, look, I know the scientists are working on some big things. We've got cancer, we've got some heart disease, but there's a coughing epidemic going on. Every flight I'm on, people are hacking up a lung. Please, let's put some money towards that.
Yeah.